Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are so excited that you're here.
Hi.
Is We are getting towards the end of our time together, but you all keep coming back, and Faith and I are thrilled to have you all back this session. We are going to go ahead and jump in. It is 4:15, and we have today, I'm going to go ahead and drop a note taker that we have for our session today in the chat. And I just dropped it in the chat. You can open it up. You may be able only to view it. You can certainly make a copy of it for yourself and type your notes on it. But that is for you to help us work through the session today. I'm Catherine. Faith is here too. And but before we get to our other guests, we do have a guest here today. Real quick, in the chat, drop something that you are, oh my Lord, I just saw what you put on the screen, Faith. What's something you are grateful for?
And I'm grateful to have her as my partner with this work, and just grateful to have her as a friend and colleague. So wanted to make sure we said happy birthday to our Catherine today.
You were so sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I see people are grateful for their first grade team and their mentor teacher. Those mentor teachers are a big, big deal for us as new teachers. I still talk to my mentor teacher from 20-something years ago. She and I will reach out every now and then. My kindergarten team, absolutely. Your math friends. Yes, Winona. Yes. Y'all are so kind. Thank you for the birthday wishes. But your family, absolutely. And hopefully you found some time over this past week, previous week, to just find some time to unwind and just regroup and rejuvenate yourself. But we are going to move on. So we are keeping in line with our timing. We do have a special guest today. And this, Winona, you want to wave your hand and say hi real quick? There she is right there. Winona was a math specialist with myself and Faith earlier, and then she decided that her calling was in the SEL world, the social emotional learning. We are going to hear from Winona first, and then we're going to talk about formative assessment and attendance and do our attendance and survey, and we will be done. Okay, so I am going to turn this over to Winona so we can get going.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to just say that I am not in the state, so if I have any connectivity issues, I just want to apologize in advance. But once again, I am Winona Jones-Archie, and I'm the coordinator for social emotional learning, and I'm so excited to be here with you this afternoon. I actually left a session because I wanted to be with you guys. And so what we're going to talk about today is your own wellness. Kathy, you can go ahead and click it to the next one.
Thank you. I sure will.
So we're going to get started with a warm welcome. And I know Catherine just talked about showing gratitude. I want you to think about this moment in your life right now. If it was a movie, what would that movie be? So I want you to think about all the things that's going on with you personally. What would the title of that movie be? So if you could go ahead and type it in the chat, I'll start. My movie would be Inside Out. And the reason why I say that is because if you know Inside Out, it has talking about the character's emotions. So I'm experiencing a lot of different emotions now. We have so much going on in our office. We're supporting the entire district. We're a team of 2 and we're supporting the entire district. And I'm a lot going on personally. So my movie is Inside Out. So if you could go ahead and oblige and type your movie that would best describe your life right now. Elf, I love it. School of Rock.
A meeting ran a little late, so I'm here. Excuse me.
No worries.
Welcome, Ryan. We're glad you're here.
Anyone else? Or if you feel like you want to unmute, feel free to unmute and share which movie describes your life right now. Cheaper by the dozen. I love it. Elf, okay. Can someone unmute and share why they're feeling elf right now? Somebody said Leo. I haven't seen that one. Restart. Is that a movie? So, okay. Excited about the holidays. Catherine, Faith, would you like to share what movie describes your life right now, if you can think of one?
I actually put Elf.
You did Elf, so why would you
I
say
did.
Elf?
I'm all about the Christmas spirit. I have 7 Christmas trees in my house. I brought one to work for our temporary office. I'm
Okay.
all about it. I love it.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
She did. So Winona, mine's a little bit like yours, but the movie that came to my mind right now is still Magnolias.
Okay.
It's an oldie but a goodie for me. And you know how us women, forgive me, men, a lot of times us women, you put on that steel face and you just keep pushing through no matter what is going on around in your life. That's kind of what I feel right now.
Yes, and that ties exactly into what we're talking about today. That's tying into wellness. So thank you guys for sharing that. So let's go. We can go on and talk about our community agreements. That takes us into our community agreements. And, you know, I have to be self-aware. One of the things that Catherine told me, she dropped this into the slide deck and the color changed. So I'm flipping out because the color is different than what I'm normally, than what my slide look like. So that's my self-awareness that I need to realize that I have OCD about some things, but it's going to be okay. So let's take a moment to look at the community agreements. I'll tend looking at self-awareness, tending to your own needs with openness and honesty, self-managing, listening actively, and making space for others to be heard, being open to explore all ideas and learning. Also, relationship building, doing your best to create space for all voices, and then finally using all of those to make responsible decisions by being an active participant. I have a short time with you today, so if you could just take a moment and drop in the chat which one of these community agreements you're going to honor with us in this short time I have with you. Or feel free to unmute. Self-management. Thank you, Michelle. Marina said social awareness. Awesome. I see a lot of social awareness. Thank you. Exploring all ideas and learning. Relationship building. Thank you so much for sharing that. So that's going to take
self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
I think as teachers, we are always about everybody else. And
Yes,
if you're a teacher, wife, and mom, you're always about everybody else.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, E. We need you to put your number in there so I can call you by name. Thank you very much for sharing that. I appreciate that. Thank you. So that takes us into well-being for teachers. So let's take a look at this slide. So first, I want to just say that you guys are amazing. So what I want to do just briefly is just to talk about you taking time to focus on your well-being. So being happy teachers, you were born to be amazing. You were born to be a teacher. Be happy in your career. Students will not only see your passion, they'll feel your love. And with that, go ahead. You can keep going, Catherine. You can go ahead and click. With that, your work as an educator, it can be very rewarding, but at the same token, it comes with extraordinary and unique challenges. We face a lot of different things in the work that we do as educators each and every day, but we have to make sure that we show up and we make sure that we take time for ourselves and then we'll talk about that a little bit more, why that's so important. So you can go ahead, Catherine. So thinking about the phases of a first-year teacher and the attitude towards teaching. So first I want to talk about, if you notice in the corner, you see the social emotional learning wheel. You have self-awareness, that's knowing who you are, knowing what your triggers are. Self-management, knowing how to manage those triggers. Social awareness, knowing how you show up in spaces and how your interactions with people each and every day. Relationship skills, also developing positive relationship with people on your team, with people at home, and then using all those things to make responsible decisions. If you notice, the orange represents yourself. Green represents your interactions with others, and then you use all of those to make responsible decisions. So let's think about your role as a first-year teacher. You'll see that, the months of the year, we start school in August, you're excited, you just got this new job, you're in anticipation, you're elated about having started this job, and you're so excited about things to come. Then you keep going, and then you get to that survival stage. And you start to feel like, oh my God, everything's overwhelming. I'm running at a fast pace. This is just too much. I can't believe I'm just constantly running. My life is crazy right now. Then you're in the delusionment phase. Then you come to the realization that things may not be going as smoothly as you like. You start to question your ability as a teacher. You start saying, why am I doing this? You're having evaluations. You have so many things coming your way. But then you start to get to a point where you start to feel rejuvenated. You're on the uptick. You're starting to feel a lot better. And then you have the reflection. You start thinking about what's happening for the next upcoming school year. And then you start the phase all over again. So when you're looking at that, notice, where is delusionment? Where are we right now, actually? And thinking about the calendar, where are we right now in the first phase of teaching? Where are we right now? Would someone like to share? Or type it in the chat. What phase are we in right now, according to the calendar? Survival is more September, October. So we're right now, you can go ahead and click, Catherine, we're in the delusionment phase.
No.
Because we're right in that November, December time. It's time for it's coming up on a time where we really need to take a break, and we need to focus on our wellness during this time. Thinking about closer to the holidays, you have people a lot really stressed about being able to perform for their do things for their family, performing for the end of the semester, getting ready close to the end of the semester. So this is really critical time for you to focus on your own wellness. With that being said, you can keep going, Catherine. I'm going to leave you with 3 takeaways in my short time with you. The first one is, you go ahead and click, the job of a teacher is never finished. Please know that you are not going to be able to do everything. We are teachers. We are high achievers. We want to check the box. We always want to do what's best for our students, what's best for everyone. But the job of a teacher is never finished. Number 2, focus on the things you can control or influence, and accept the things you cannot. There are certain things you can control or influence, but there are other things that are beyond your control. And then finally, number 3, develop ways to manage the challenging aspects of your role. That means taking care of yourself. With that, let's break these down a little bit more individually. You can go ahead, Catherine. Thank you. So the job of a teacher is never done. With that being said, you have to learn to prioritize your work. You cannot do everything. So you have to make sure that you put things in piles. Make sure you prioritize and put what's most important first. If you have tons of papers to grade, but then you know that you have a deliverable to your assistant principal, you cannot let the papers come over to that deliverable that you need to get to your assistant principal. Another thing, collaborate and share. The work, you're not in teachers, one great thing, you shouldn't have to work in silos. Collaborate with people on your team, work with people on your team so that you know that you can be able, if you know that someone had a lesson plan or something that they were working on that worked, try not to reinvent the wheel. Collaborate and share your knowledge with the people that you work with as well. Set limits and stick to them. If you say that you're going to be done grading papers or doing whatever it is school related at 8 o'clock, shut it off at 8 o'clock. Because if you don't, that takes us to the next one. You're going to neglect relationships that you have with family and friends. So you have to set those limits so that you are never neglecting those relationships with family and friends. Next, being gentle with yourself and others. Give yourself grace. Sometimes, once again, as educators, we are such high achievers and we beat ourselves up about not being perfect, not being able to do everything perfectly. Give yourself grace. Be gentle to yourself as well as the people that you interact with, as well as your family members. So just, once again, giving yourself grace. And then finally, practicing self-care every day. You have to take care of you. With that being said, you can go to the next one, Catherine. That's thinking about our circle of control. Oh, I'm sorry. And then before I go on, think about trying to get everything done, like looking at that picture. Imagine you can't, no matter how much you speed up, are you going to be able to go over that hole in the ground? You're not going to be able to get it done. So just realize that No matter how much you speed up, no matter how much you put into the work, it's going to be never ending. So you have to make sure that you take care of yourself first. You have to prioritize you first. Okay? And that takes us into our circle of control. In our circle of control, there are things that we can control. There are things that we can influence. And then we have our circle of control. Circle of concern. I'm sorry about that. In your circle of control, you have to practice your self-care. Your circle of control is how you show up, how you interact with people, the things you say. Those are the things that you can control. The circle of influence, that means your work relationships, family relationships. As much as we feel like we can control our own personal children, we cannot. We are just a circle of influence. Your hope is that you are pouring enough into them, that you are influencing them to make good decisions. So once again, the only thing we control is our circle of control. And then finally, the circle of concern. Those are things that are totally beyond our control, whether it's the weather, whether it's the pandemic, whether it's war, whether it's politics. Those are things that are totally beyond our control. And what the funny thing is, that's the thing that we're most stressed about. That circle of concern is the one that we are most stressed about. However, it's the one that we have the least control over. That takes us into our own personal self-care, which is number 3. So I just flew to a conference and I'm out of state right now. And when I got on the plane, the flight attendant said to me, whenever, when they do in the procedures, please put the oxygen mask on yourself first before helping others. So that means you have to take care of yourself before you can pour into others. If you're not good health-wise, if you're not good mentally, if you're not good socially, emotionally, you cannot be there for your students, your family, or you're not good for anyone. And I'll use myself as an example. In August, I went to the doctor and to the dentist. My dentist told me that I needed a root canal. Fast forward, what month is this, guys? It's now November. A couple weeks ago, putting it off, not taking care of myself, my body failed on me. I ended up needing it on a Friday afternoon when the dentists are closed. My root canal, I was in excruciating pain. I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't do anything else because the pain was unbearable. Once again, I didn't take care of me. So we have to take care of ourselves. I couldn't do anything for my family that whole weekend. I had activities planned. I couldn't do anything because my body shut down on me because I didn't promote my own self-care. With that, you can go ahead and click, Catherine. Taking care of yourself is an important part of being able to take care of others. You must fill your own cup before you can pour into anyone, whether it's your students, whether it's your teammates, whether it's your family. You have to take care of yourself before you can pour into others. With that, let's talk about some ways that you can pour into yourself, ways to promote your own wellness. One of the things you can do is breathing. There are certain things like you have mindful moments. There are a lot of things, and I'm going to provide you some resources with ways for you to be able to do this. So just having mindful moments, where you just take a moment to breathe. Think about your own wellness where, you can even do this with your students, but just thinking about yourself. I know there have been times where if I had a rough day, I sit in the car for a few minutes and breathe before I go into the house. Because what happened at work should not affect what happens with my family. And conversely, what happens at home shouldn't affect what happens at work. That's a part of being self-aware and knowing how to self-manage, which is taking care of yourself. Another thing you could do is having inspiration. How many people have those pictures on their phone, quotes on their phone as your screensaver? I have my husband and I on my screensaver. Inspiration. Last couple weeks ago was my entire family. Those people they can be your source of inspiration, which helps to promote your own wellness. Next, music. I love to listen to music throughout most of my professional learning sessions. I have teachers and people who attend my sessions asking for my playlist because I love to have music during my sessions, because usually music, I have walk-up music. Optimistic by the Sounds of Blackness is my walk-up music. You should have walk-up music to where whatever that song is, it takes you to a space where you're feeling calm and peaceful. So choose your walk-up music. Think about something that motivates you to help put you in a positive space, whether it's beach sounds or water sounds, something for music to promote your own wellness. And finally, just using your senses, using your 5 senses to help promote your wellness, just being able to say, smelling things, touching things, putting your feet in the sand, having different things like, some students, like I have actually a poppet, those poppet things that I have on my desk, the squeezy things, all of those things help to promote wellness. One thing I'm going to share with you guys, and Catherine, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. If you could, if you don't mind, if you could share that. Well, it's actually, if you could just click on the link in the and take it to the screen. Thank you. At the bottom where it says Tiny URL 30-day. And guys, feel free to scan the QR code as well. At the bottom. Yes. So guys, here is a 30-day stress challenge all the way at the bottom. There you go. Thank you. This is a 30-day stress awareness challenge. It promotes your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Guys, one of the things you also have to do to promote your mental, emotional, and physical well-being is disconnect that phone. We're on social media so much where, we get caught up with so many, and I think about during COVID, I literally had to disconnect from TikTok, Facebook, all those things, because there were so many things happening during that time, what was affecting me mentally and emotionally, and even physically, having headaches and things like that. So sometimes these are just some strategies to help promote your own wellness physically, mentally, and emotionally. And then also, if you go back to this slide deck, Catherine, thank you. There's a QR code that will take you to that document as well. So one thing I'm going to ask you is, as you think about your own wellness, thinking about the things that you do, I want you to drop in the chat one of these 4 things. How do you take care of what activity best supports how you promote your own social emotional well-being? Do you like to read? Do you like number 2? Do you like to watch video games or a movie? Number 3, do you like hanging out with friends or being social? Or number 4, do you just like alone time, going on a walk or whatever you choose by yourself? Please type in the chat. I see 4s. Somebody said, and if yours is not on there, feel free to write something else. But if you could put 1, 2, 3, or 4, something you do to promote your own wellness. Somebody said practicing intentionally doing nothing. I love that. And sometimes, and guys, as educators, we have to sometimes learn how to say that word that we don't like to say, which is no. We have to learn how to say that. And I preach that to myself as well, because sometimes my weekends are more booked than the stuff that I do during the week. And that's sometimes too much. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. However, it's not giving me that time for me to be able to do number 4. Somebody said watch a movie. A lot of people said video games, sleep, rest. I love it. You have to take time for you. The next thing I want you to do is, go ahead, Catherine. These are some of the resources that our office uses to promote SEL. We have our SEL Comm Center. We have our Advisement Comm Center. I know you've heard of the Nearpod. I know you guys talk about the crosswalk in math, the Quality Plus Teaching Strategies. There is also a crosswalk for SEL as well. We have Gale resources, the 3 signature practices. Now, Pure Edge is a really good one because it goes through and it has a lot of mindfulness activities. It teaches you how to breathe. It teaches you how to recenter and you focus. And they have them geared from elementary all the way through adult. And then one thing, Catherine, if you could click on the virtual wellness room right next to Pure Edge. Yes, this is something that our office created. And if you go to where it says adult wellness room at the top, guys, this is a great resource. It's available for students K-5, 6, 12, and we also have an adult a crisis toolkit. These are just things you can do to promote your own wellness. So we have a wealth of resources for you to be able to use with your students as well as for yourself in order for you to promote your own social emotional well-being. Okay. And Catherine, if you could go back to that slide. And guys, if you could scan that QR code, it will take you to the slide deck.
Right there.
Yes. If you scan
And
that,
Winona, just your slides are in our slides that will be posted to our New Teacher Math Academy website. So they will have access to that as well through your resources through there.
awesome. So finally, because I only had 20 minutes and I think I did pretty good because I usually go over time. But finally, I want to leave you with an optimistic closure. So this is something called the WHOOP goal. So WHOOP meaning wish, outcomes, obstacles, and plan. So I want you to think about something that you wish, something that you're going to do and when. Outcome, what is it going to look like when you do that? What obstacles you may encounter along the way. And if you have an obstacle, how are you going to plan to overcome that obstacle? So I'll give you an example. I had, once again, not taking care of self. My blood sugar was high. So it'd been high for several months, actually a couple of years, I'm ashamed to say. But I finally got it down. And that was just from eating right and dropped the pounds. But now I need to incorporate exercising in. So what I will do is I plan to start working out at least 2 days a week. And the win is Monday and Wednesday. Usually Thursday and Friday, getting close to the weekend. I'm kind of tapped out by then. So I'm going to try and do Monday and Wednesday. What does that look like for me? That looks like for me walking or going to the actual gym. Any obstacles that I may encounter, the obstacle that I may encounter will be work, life. But if I encounter a problem, that obstacle, if I do that, my plan is to identify another day to do it. So if I'm committing to 2 days, I want to start small. If I'm committing to 2 days, then I need to plan to be able to make up to ensure that I'm committing, I'm honoring those 2 days if I don't make Monday and Wednesday. So what I want you to do is I want you to take a moment and think about this WHOOP protocol. And I want you to go ahead and jot down at least the wish component, what you're going to do and when. And while we're doing that, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. Catherine, if you could go ahead and cue my music and tell me what you're going to do and when. And if you feel like it, please drop it in the chat or unmute to share. Add exercise to my weekly routine. Yay!
Upside down and inside out. I'm about to show all you folks what it's all about. Now it's time for it to get on the mic and make this motherfucking party hot. I'm taking it back to the old school because I'm an old fool who's so cool. If you want to get down, I'm going to show you the way.
Catherine.
Yeah, it is. Let me hear you say.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share what's one thing that they're going to do and when? Commit to walking 3 times a week. Getting my second term. Getting through my second term of my master's. Congratulations, Giovanna. Awesome. Anyone else like to unmute and share something they're going to commit to, what their wish will be, what you're going to do and when? Committing to walk, once again, 3 times a week. Grade papers every Thursday, walking twice a week. Thank you. And I appreciate that. Celia Huff, just making sure you're limiting it. You're not saying that you're going to do it every day. Because you know, usually what happens when we bring that bag home, where does it usually stay? We're just toting it back and forth. We're just toting it. And once again, you have to honor your time with your family too. Make sure you honor your time with your family. That's a part of wellness as well.
Yep. The date night with their son. That's awesome.
I'm sorry.
There was a date night with their son.
I love that. Started this month. Thank you, Katrina. That's awesome. Journaling about my feelings in the evening when I need to. Guys, this is I just want to say, thank you for sharing that. This is really important for your emotional well-being. And I leave you, one of the things that, like I said, I want to leave you with is that if your cup is not full, you cannot pour into others. And I don't mean just the students. I mean your family as well. You have to be there. You have to take care of yourself, because what will happen is you're going to start having health issues and things like that. So you want to make sure that you are able to be there for your family as well as yourself. Give yourself grace. It's okay. And with that, going into the holiday season, I want to say thank you. Catherine, you can go ahead and click next. I say thank you. And once again, I'm the coordinator for social emotional learning. I thank you for your time. And I think I'm right at about 20 minutes. I'm doing good. I'm okay, Catherine.
You were good.
Yes. And then finally, if you could click to the next one, please hang in there.
Oh,
it didn't show up.
that one didn't copy over. Sorry, Winona.
Okay, no worries. The last one said, hang in there. It's almost Christmas break. You guys got it. Thank you for the work that you do. You guys are amazing. Feel free to reach out to my office if you have any questions or if you need any support in any way. If I can come out and to support your school in any way, I'm here for you. And once again, thank you for all the work that you do. You got this. Thank you.
Well, Winona, I cannot thank you enough for that. For me personally, and I've been in education for 20 plus years, just going back and regrounding myself and what's important, that was helpful for me being a seasoned teacher. So thank you. I hope everyone else found that somewhat helpful too. But that was awesome. Thank you, Winona.
Thank you. Have a good one, guys. I'm going back to my sessions. See you later.
Thank you.
Of course. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. So that brings us to the meat of what we're going to do today. And I'm going to go ahead and be transparent. We're going to probably cut some times down a little bit. So, but we're going to push through. We're going to talk through what formative assessments are, and then you'll be out of here. Okay. But initially, go ahead and take a look at the screen right here and think about what you're noticing here. And you can unmic and share, unmute yourself and share what you notice in this cartoon. Anybody?
The assumption that because he was taught it, he knows how to do it.
I could not have said that better myself, friend. Tell me your first name again.
Desireen.
Desireen. I could not have said that better myself. So with that, we're going to move on to the next slide, because you were right. There is an assumption because it was taught, it was learned, right? So that brings us to our focus, which is assessment and feedback. Today, you're going to have a few minutes, and we're going to cut the time down that you go out into this breakout room. But we're going to learn more about these formative assessments through our QPTS wheel. QPTS stands for Quality Plus Teaching Strategies. And this wheel is a compilation of all research-based instructional practices that are strategies that are considered best practices here in Gwinnett County. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to go there real quick. You are going to go to a tab and you are going to go to your econ page. Okay, I see Ryan shaking your head. Yep, we're good. Yep. Okay. All right. When you get to this econ page, we're not going to click in to your grade level just yet. We're going to scroll down and look how big and pretty that QPTS wheel is. You are going to click into this. You're going to read about assessment and feedback here, and you're going to go into a breakout room. As you are doing this on your note taker that we dropped into the chat earlier, and Faith just dropped it now, you will see the questions that are that will guide your thoughts as you work through reading about assessment and feedback. Are we good? So these focus questions as you dig into assessment and feedback. Faith is going to put us into breakout rooms, and you will have about 5 minutes to talk about, to do as much as you can here, okay? And all the other strategies are there as well. But assessment and feedback is where we're spending our time today. Welcome back, everyone. We know that was a short time, but we want to honor your time and get you out of here so you can go take care of yourself tonight.
Okay, perfect. Welcome back, you guys. We know that was short, and we definitely had originally planned for you guys to have a little bit longer, but hopefully you gained a little bit of knowledge about that formative assessment from the QPTS. You guys, all of those buttons on the wheel have lots of really good information. So if you have time, go dig in a little bit. It's really helpful to see the teacher actions and student actions for each Quality Plus teaching strategy. So why are we formatively assessing? So teachers should frequently observe, assess, and monitor students' progress towards mastery of the AKS or the IOAs, and provide students with ongoing feedback on their progress, adjusting instruction to increase student learning. Teachers and students should be jointly engaged in setting, reviewing, and monitoring progress towards the mastery of those learning goals. When we're using that assessment with Feedback QPTS, the teacher will implement frequent informal formative assessments as a part of the instructional cycle and provide timely, specific, and actionable feedback. The teacher will use assessment information to then differentiate instruction and support student progress towards mastery. Students will act on the feedback and demonstrate individual progress towards mastery. And thinking about that, like those teacher actions will include addressing misconceptions at a small group, or possibly even extending the learning opportunities for students that are proficient. So you're giving them feedback, you're pulling them to your small group table and saying, I called you here today because this is what I noticed. And you're giving them that purpose for what they're going to work on. This is most effective when teachers and students are doing that thinking together, and students are really receiving that very specific, timely feedback, and then that lets them be responsive as well. But it really helps that teacher differentiate and personalize instruction for all of their students. So that's why we're using those formative assessments. So what we wanted to do is just take a second to show you guys some of the frequent or high-flying, more formal formative assessments that you're going to see on the pacing guide and throughout eCom. So this is one that's really common. It's a concept cartoon. In a typical concept cartoon, students are provided with like a problem at the top, and the cartoon characters are going to solve that problem. And then the students are going to choose which character, and maybe in upper grades, which characters they agree with. And they're going to explain their thinking why in that box below. That's a very common one. The students really like that. Similar to a concept cartoon, we have this agree, disagree, where you could have characters speaking on something, or you could just have some mathematical facts. The students will decide if they agree or disagree with this statement in the box, and then explain their thinking using pictures, numbers, or words. You're really getting a lot of information in that explanation piece. And this is an example of a third grade agree, disagree. Then we have something I always love to see it even as like an activating strategy that you could use is a convince me that. So students are provided with a prompt and the answer, and they have to convince their teacher that it is true using numbers, pictures, or words. We also have these embedded in some lessons. So these are fast formatives, and they can be done in different ways, but they're usually multiple choice. And each answer choice has a very specific embedded misconception. So when students choose the answer choice that isn't correct, you kind of already have thought about what their misconception is, and you know what to do with that. A lot of times we do these as sticky bars. So students put their answer on a sticky note and they kind of make a bar graph. Exit tickets a lot of times. And then if you're in lower grades and your kids need to get up and move, or even in upper grades, you could do 4 corners. So you could post A, B, C, and D around the room. And after students have had some work time, then you could have them go and all move at the same time based on what's on their sticky notes. So you know which actually was their answer choice and not where their friends went. But that's a great one to get them up and moving. And if you need quick data to pull your kids, that's a great choice. We also have thinking logs. And this is one of my favorites. You provide students with a sentence stem, or you allow them to choose a sentence stem, and they reflect on their own learning. And a lot of times you can get a lot of information about how they are feeling about a concept, if they need some additional practice, if they feel like they've gotten it. It's a really great way to get students to be reflective of their own learning, and thinking about that as something where it's not, I just have one more problem to solve. They're really just thinking about where they are with the concept. And it's a great way just to give them the opportunity to take a minute to think about their own learning.
So Faith just took us through some of those more formal, if you will, air quotes, assessment strategies that you've probably seen on your throughout your pacing guides over the course of this semester. But keep in mind, formative assessments are assessments for learning. They should be used to help you make instructional decisions that guide improvement for your students towards mastery of that AKS. Formative assessments don't always have to be formal, just like what we talked through. Sometimes formatives can be taken and analyzed as anecdotal notes. An anecdotal note is a great strategy that teachers can use during all points of your instruction. Maybe it's an activating strategy where the students are turning and talking with their partner and you're ear hustling, if you will, what's being said during that time. That's a great chance for you to really hear what a student is thinking and where their learning is based on what they're sharing with their partner. Okay. Some things that for example, you're overhearing a student, you may have a stack of sticky notes with you. You may want to jot them down. These are some examples that we pulled from things Faith and I have used in the past, things we've worked with teachers in the past. Some teachers just use a piece of paper, a notebook paper. They'll write the student's name down, the date, what they're hearing their students say. That can be done on something printed or a piece of notebook paper, like I said. Some other options might be a performance-based checklist. If you're in kindergarten, you had some of these at the beginning of in the first 9 weeks. Again, here's another example of anecdotal notes. When you're doing the mini lesson and the kids are transitioning to that active engagement component of your mini lesson, go around, jot things down. Another one that is used often, sometimes, depends on what your style is a student roster. A particular teacher that I worked with, this was her way. She was a kindergarten teacher. We thought through what the misconceptions were going to be that we would see possibly during an active engagement and from the formative. And we just wrote the kids' names down, and she put a check by their name. If there was a check under by this kid's name under this misconception, that kid would come see me for that small group. This same kid may have a different misconception as well. So he would see me twice, maybe not in the same day, or it might be back-to-back days, whatever suits. The big idea here is that find something that works for you so that you can gather all of this learning your students are doing and just capture it so you know how to address their needs so that they can master the AKS that you are teaching at that time. Okay. So I apologize. I feel like I've got a cold. I apologize. Thinking about what we've talked through, formative assessment strategies, and then ways to record that thinking, you're going to have a chance right now to go out into breakout rooms. You are going to do a noticing and a wondering with the people in your breakout room, looking at these 2 work samples. These are from a second grade teacher or a second grade classroom with 2 students. So we're going to send you out. You're going to do a notice and wondering, and really be intentional to think about, where are the kids? Where's their learning with this? Are there any misconceptions that are barriers that we need to address for either one of these students? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and send you out. You'll have we want to honor your time and get you out on time. 5 minutes, Faith?
Yeah,
Yeah.
5.
Okay. All right. Notice and wonder about what you're seeing. And it is on your note taker as well.
We are back.
We are back. Y'all, Faith and I both are just cringing because of the conversations you were having in your room and bringing you back. We have such a limited amount of time with you. So I'm going to talk this through. Usually we'd have you share out, but don't worry, this will continue in January because we're going to come back to these 2 same pieces of work. So I'm going to talk through some of the thinking that Faith and I saw with these 2 pieces of work. Here in sample 1, the student used their part-whole model, used their part-whole thinking appropriately, and they recognized that they needed to join the parts to create the whole, okay? The student used base 10 models as drawings to draw out the 2 add-ins and join them. What I noticed the student didn't do, they didn't count what was in all of the base 10 models to find the total. What they did, they took the base 10 model, their drawings, and drew the 40 to count on, and then these 8 to count on. So that's why the student got an incorrect number. They did not recognize that both models, be it the base 10 model or the number line, you should have come up with the same answer. So 68 up here is definitely different than 71 in the number line. Okay. Moving over to the student over here, this student didn't recognize the context of the problem, and looking at her part-whole thinking, she used a part-whole model. That's a way to organize our thinking about a problem. She recognized one of the parts as being the whole thing. We are assuming she put the whole, the larger number, in that whole space in that part-whole organizer. And then she went through and subtracted 45 minus 23, which gave her 21. What I do know about her is that she used her base 10 blocks appropriately, and she was able to subtract correctly. It's just that we weren't subtracting in this problem. So I did learn something from that. I also noticed that we need to work on using number lines, how to solve. So ultimately, here in these 2 work samples, we have 2 incorrect answers, but with 3 different small groups. I need to work on models, base 10 models with my first kid. I also need to work on the number line piece and making sure those models are matching. The context. Then sample number 2 student didn't understand that. Well, they both need help with the number line. So there are truly 3 different small groups there. Next time when we come back in January, y'all, it's January 4th, so go ahead and put it on your calendar. Between now and then, I'm going to send you this in an email. This is your homework. You're going to go back and watch this teacher address these 2 small groups where these 2 work samples came from. Okay, so that is where we are heading next time when we come back, is truly what does it look like in our teacher-led small groups and those instructional moves so that we can help our kids move towards mastery of our AKS. Okay, sorry, that's so fast.
No. Yes, Ryan, that's why we emphasize like not teaching those key words, right? And really understanding the context of the problem. So you guys, if you have not registered for our last 2 sessions, please do that, especially for session 6. We want to see your beautiful faces in person. So please, please, please make sure you're registered so we have a space that will accommodate everyone. Catherine will send out the homework. You can go ahead and click for me, Catherine.
Did I not click? Right there.
There we go. There we go. I'm gonna drop the attendance in the chat. And then you guys remember, you always have our Padlet. If you have questions, you can always email us directly as well. We are happy to thought partner with you on any questions or concerns that you might have. So there's your attendance. And we are optimistic closing for today. And you already did one with Winona.
Yes.
But think about all of that great learning. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear Winona. It was like going to church today. But what is one thing that you are going to make sure you do yourself over that 2-week break to make sure you take care of yourself? So set an intention for that. We appreciate you. We are grateful for you. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year. During that rejuvenation phase, right? That was what's next on Winona's chart. You guys are free to go after you do your attendance, and we appreciate you.